Hey, everybody. Welcome to the D.M.C Podcast, episode number 30. Massive benchmark. Number 30 is with your hosts, myself, Cody Ryan Hunter, and the man, the myth, the legend, the boss man, Adam Rigby. My bro, we are back. Episode 30, mate. That's massive.
What is up, man? What a benchmark. Hey, God, I remember turning. Do I? I remember turning 30. I'd say I remember turning 30. Yeah, man, cool, eh? Always when we go for the 10s for some reason, except 21 seems to be a big number. But yeah, every number's a great number the older you get, I think. But lots to celebrate, bro. Hitting us with your middle name today. It took us 30 episodes. How long will it take before I share my middle name? Let's find out. Could be episode 40.
Could be episode 40, bro. I don't even know where that came from, mate. I must have been doing something recently where I had to give my full name and it was just wired into my head. So we got it. We got it out there, mate. I have been doing a bit of gaming with my son. I might have said it. We've been doing a little bit of team gaming. And for an alias, of course, I had to put my middle name in there. So that could be the reason that it's in there, mate. But yeah, there you go.
That is where that has eventuated. Thank you for sharing your middle name with us today. Mate. Episode 30, obviously, we've opened up to a stage where majority of us are sharing our middle names. And then, what a wonderful world. If you want to share with us, viewers, listeners, your middle names, fire them at us. If you don't share your gaming alias, because that's what it's all about, being anonymous online.
No chance, mate. No chance. Well, funnily enough, bro, there's people that will log in there with their Facebook profiles. So you can see their photos and they're like, I think their name still might change. So yeah, I was on there yesterday actually, and a dude, a guy I know his Facebook profile had popped up with his photo, and I was like, hey, that's awesome. So yeah, it's quite funny. Not undercover enough, mate.
Mate, so here we go, episode 30. Massive week for you, bro, because you actually got to meet one of our guests.
Mate, it was very cool, eh? Yeah, accidentally. Didn't put all the pieces together, to be honest. And we cruise into the gym down there in Dunedin, well, in Mosgiel specifically. And the funny story is quite cool. And this had been the case with all the week. I've been to so many gyms, and often there are names on the board with like records or like speed, strength things, or just different games and tests. And early in the week, it had been a lot of rugby players or a lot of athletes I'd seen names of that I'm like, oh, I know that dude. And the records were from like 10, 20 years ago. And anyway, we went into this new gym, and the owner there, he's showing us through, giving us a tour and showing us this wall. And he's like, oh, and whose name do I see? I see Sheena's name on there. I'm like, hold on. I know her. And then I'm sitting there thinking, he goes, oh, really? She's just over there. And I was like, holy shit. So I cruise over and we have a good catch up. Awesome to see her. It was very, very, very random and very cool.
Yeah, it's great to meet in person, after what was a really good yak. A really good yak you can't beat, just being face to face and looking in the eye and just that connection, because you feel like you know each other too when you've been having yarns online. And the interview, if you haven't seen it, peeps, with Sheena, was great. Just such an open book on her career and her path and trajectory. So yeah, how cool. How cool.
Oh, mate.
And that's the universe, right? It's just like, oh, hello, bang.
Yeah, exactly right. And I was just saying, it's quite funny because I did it with one of our listeners too, one of your buddies, Blythe, and I was supposed to catch up with him. And it's funny because you always specifically say like, hey, I said, hey, it's Cody here from the D.M.C Podcast, because you don't know if people know, right? And you don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, it's Cody here. And they're like, who is it? Like, I don't know who you are, because I'd never met him either, right? So we'll catch up at some point when I'm up north again. But he goes, mate, you don't have to tell me who you are, mate. I know who you are. It feels like we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
And she was the same with Sheena. I was like, hey, it's Cody from D.M.C Podcast. And she's like, mate, of course I know who you are. Like,
shout out to my bro. Funny. Shout out to my bro, Blythe. Legend of a man. Loves bikes like I love bikes, which is a lot. Which is a lot, mate.
It's a good one, because I think like with the travels, obviously not as much as we used to be, but yeah, if there are people out there who are around the place and they want to catch up for coffees, like we say, like we are down. Like we will come and catch up if we can in the right areas and get to meet people. It's cool, mate. It's quite cool funny, for us to be able to travel away.
And I think the premise behind it is general connection and you know there's no hidden agendas behind catching up, and you know there's no smoke and mirrors. It's just part of who we are. Love meeting people, and that's what keeps me passionate about my job, the ability to go out and meet people daily on both sides of the fence, you know, with the Les Mills, with the instructor stuff, meeting people at a whole nother level to professional. You know, you get some super professional people, and the funny thing is if you see them outside, you go, the comment for people all the time is if they see you in a professional, they go, oh, you look different with clothes on, you know, because normally they see you in your tidy whities or your lycra cycling outfits or your Fitspo gear spo, not wearing much. So it is quite different to see people in that light. That's right. Yeah, so if you have the ability to make a connection, if you're in town and you're thinking, oh shit, so and so lives here, then get it. Pick up the phone, even say hi, and say, hey, I'm in town. And if the person's not available, cool, if things transpire, but just to let them know that you're thinking about them and, oh, I'm in town, by the way. Preempt it. Don't just, you know, oh, I've got 10 minutes. Do you want to catch up?
Yeah.
I am here next week. Have you got time to catch up? It'd be great to see you. Sit down, have a chat. Do that type of stuff, face to face. Can't beat the hot beverage of choice, whether it's, you know, a nice herbal tea if you're trying to chillax, or you're just after a boost of about 4 shots of caffeinated goodness, the strongest coffee you can get. Right. Everything's double shot here, isn't it? It's very rare.
I've learned my lesson, bro, because I used to go in there to say extra shot, because that's what I would do over in Korea, because most standard coffees are bloody quite massive amounts of shots anyway. But you go to the odd place and you get an extra shot, and it must have been a single to start with. So here you are with a double shot. Like, come on, mate. Look at the size of me, mate. I need like 4 to 5 shots per coffee, mate. That's what I need. So these days they just have to be stipulated. Triple shot, or
it's at least the same, mate. It's at least the same. We stayed in a beautiful town, Bormio, nestled in the mountains, and the guy in the cafe was like, steady boys, because we were, you know, you love a coffee pre-ride, during ride, post ride. Is like, you might want to steady the ship on this one, boys, because it's strong. And one of my very good friends, my touring companion, the combination of way too much coffee, the combination of physical exertion, the combination of the altitude. We ended up racing to a hospital at, I think it was about 2 a.m. in the morning, pitch black through the valleys of Italy, sitting in the back of an ambulance because his heart rate just started to skyrocket. So that was pretty scary. So what I'm saying is, just watch your caffeine intake. If someone says, oh, hang on a second, I just look for the shakes. You know, I've got a 3-cup max. And I know if I'm going to go, oh, I feel like I need a coffee. It's just habit, you know, a lot of the times. So I'm better served just saying, grab a bottle of water and just sit and sip on that. If it's that process of just drinking that you need, that you're used to, but you're way better just putting some water in the body instead of just absolutely trying to, you know, jam yourself up. Your eyeballs are rolling back in your head. You got the jitters. You're trying trying to concentrate. You're losing concentration. Not good. And then there's the crash.
I was just going to say, bro. Yeah, that's right. And you get to the afternoon, but then you often keep piling on. You might just keep piling on with more coffee to try to get through that, but you still just go down, and you're just so fatigued and tired.
The nature of stimulants, and sugar's the same. Yeah, right. Sugar's the same. Sugar. If you have sugar, it gives you that little peak, but it also starts that fire that says you need more sugar. This great lush feeling surging through your veins. Give me more sugar.
Well, mate, the bad one, is the one that we often fall on, especially when you're working in an office, for example, is the afternoon where you need perked up. It's usually because of poor sleep patterns, you know, like you're not sleeping enough at night, you're not sleeping well enough. And then all the afternoon, around 2 or 3 o'clock, we start thinking like, man, now I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? What do I want to drink? Like, you need to feed yourself with things. And that's when people start having those crazy snacks. And that's actually when lack of sleep promotes weight gain. It's through those sorts of things where your body and your hormones and things are tweaked out, and you start snacking to try to get through that area. But then that's the thing. That's the importance of sleep, that whole
Sleep's
thing we don't even talk about.
Yeah, massive, because it does lead to stress. Stress leads to cortisol, and it could lead to bloating, water retention. What's great for eliminating water retention is actually drinking lots of water too, just to start to flush it out of your body, because it can be a sign that there may be something in your diet that's not quite right as well. Could be an intolerance to some type of food that you need to eliminate. The only way that you get to find out is basically eliminating everything, which is a painful process, and then rebuilding, restacking, and going through the process of, maybe is it eggs, is it dairy, is it gluten, it may be a mix. You know, I'm a firm believer in balance of diet, but I know to be at my absolute best, I always get professional advice, because I need structure, because it's way too easy just to stray. And again, you know, there are things that you can do. The little snacks doesn't have to be a chocolate bar. It can be just a handful of almonds, or it depends what your goals are in terms of optimizing performance, optimizing energy, stabilizing your weight, gaining weight, losing weight, whatever it is. There are ways and means to do that in a way healthier manner that's not extreme. And I think the biggest thing too is the timeline. I was actually applying that to the education process. So going through this course, as you know, this weekend, and it was really funny. We got presented with a whole lot of documents, and the first document to download the workbook was 60 pages long. And so, you know, in my mind, I went straight to, oh my God, 60 pages. And it's like you get that book and you go, I want to go to the last page, see how the story ends. It's like having that goal. You're just so focused on the goal, you forget about the importance of breaking down the journey into those small steps. So I'm like, fuck, Adam, check yourself. And then I got into, you know, page 1, and I started to break it down, and then it made sense as I went through every little step of the journey. Now, if you look at a staircase, you're not going to step from the bottom stair to the top stair, and you shouldn't put that pressure on yourself. That's the goal. And what I found yesterday on this online course, a group of amazing people, all sharing that same fear and anxiety over learning something new, which is wonderful. And these are very experienced people just relearning some stuff. So there was that solidarity and putting your hand up and saying, far out, I'm finding this challenging. Everybody found it challenging, but again, working together. And the steps that we took together was amazing. I came out of that, you know, if you're talking about a weekend, of course, the course component ended up being 4 hours online for that component of it. And it went super quick. And at the end of it, I could have stayed for another 4 hours. Buzzing, absolutely buzzing. And again, focusing on taking those steps. And today, another 4 hours, we'll take another few steps together. And the big, hairy, audacious goal is getting closer, but we're also part of reshaping what that looks like. So it's super exciting space for me, re-educating. And again, developing what I've developed through this podcast, bro, is that passion for learning. So I'm just buzzing. Once I get the brain going, your thought process, once you get your head around it, how you have to learn. Sometimes you have to challenge that and learn it a different way. But once you get on that buzz, that pattern, that roll, that momentum, and again, sharing the journey with others has been so empowering. Energized. What's up?
Awesome, mate. Like, yeah, I love the systems these days, all the ways you can do it. I did my precision nutrition is like a really well-known, you know, online, you know, nutrition program that I did a few years back. But the way they structured everything was sort of very similar to that. I was like, you'd run through your modules, you'd run through the work you need to do, but then not even after a massive amount of work, there'd always be like a review part where it was all like the way they like cue cards and multiple choice and kind of these ways that really reinforce what you're learning. It's not the exam, but as you go along, you review it, and you can't go to the next stage until you've done that part. So you basically, do you fully understand this module, this unit? And mate, because it was like that, and if you're very goal oriented, you do like one unit, finish that, you're like, shit, I'm going back in, boom, straight away, new one, boom, boom, boom. And mate, that course I smashed so quickly because of the way it was structured, versus a whole book of learning and then a big exam at the end where I'm not structured like that very well. I'm like, shit, there's too much there. Like, what am I, like the old days, like university days, mate, where you'd be, you'd do a whole year of study or a whole semester, and now you just get an exam based off everything that was there. You're like, oh shit, here we go. So mate, loved it, eh? You're right.
It's difficult.
New study is cool.
It's difficult when you have got momentum. It's like running a marathon or something, and you don't stop at the 30k mark, but or going for a bike ride and you stop at a cafe and you have to get started and you're like, holy shit, I was better. Yeah. It's that mindset, but you need to take a break, step back from it, and just allow the body and the brain to just absorb all of that learning. And it was just far out the amount of information that was going through the brain. But again, what that allowed me to do was go back and complete a home assignment and assessment. And I did that not with ease, but I was way better prepared to be able to take on that challenge based on the steps that we'd taken. So and again, when you the funny thing is that when you're dealing with people who are experienced and nobody wants to fail or appear to not know the information when questions are asked, how silent it could be. It's that we talk about, we talked about before, you don't want to put your hand up and then, someone puts their hand up and that inspires someone to, the facilitator was amazing because regardless of what the answer was, she would celebrate the answer, which would lead to another question, or it would lead to some other component. So, I think the main thing with a lot of the questions was we were so far focused, so far forward focused. It was like, okay, let's just focus on what we're doing now. Yes, that's coming in the next stage of the learning. Okay, I got it. Next. But super cool and blessed to be in a position to be able to learn. It's never too late to get on a path to learn and to grow. We should always be curious. We should always be curious and keep the brain going.
Yeah, bro.
Keep the brain going to keep the body going. Learn, move, and the joy that it brings, and then you share it with people. Like the book. I've got to go in today too, and I'm going to remind everybody to read the 4 agreements if they haven't read the 4 agreements. So that will be my mission today on that course.
Oh yeah, nice, bro. Hey, I was just thinking about that whole, answering and asking questions, and because through school and everything, I had major anxiety about being called on to answer a question. So if like we said in class, when you're like burying yourself in the table, hopefully no one notices you. And I think I might have mentioned it, but the only way I found, even to this day, to stop that anxiety is to be the first person to jump on board, knowing that I'm controlling it, and that also, if I'm wrong, it's because I'm the first person to sort of go into it. So there's a high chance maybe I don't understand everything well, versus like you're the 5th person called on, and by now you should know the answer, and I'm like, oh shit, I still don't know the answer. But it's like a way that I sort of drilled on that is like, look, I'll make all the mistakes for everybody. I'm happy to go for it. Even, I'll jump up in front of the class and do the squat wrong. Or, yeah, I'm in, baby. I'll make a mistake. Yeah, I'll do it. And then if you're not quite right, mate, I get the full-blown first-hand feedback, and I get this teaching, and I get everything directly to me, which is how I learn. And it's just a great, so I do really recommend if people are in a similar situation, take control, be first, and get that feedback directly to you versus trying to learn from everyone else's mistakes and the feedback they're getting. And that helped me so much all through university and courses and everything. It's like that's how I was able to learn really well.
It's the subjective rather than objective opinions, people that can give you advice based on the experiences that they've been through. So the very experienced, the people that we look up to are the ones we're afraid to ask the questions because we don't want to appear stupid in front of our heroes, and you don't want to pump them up too much. But people in those positions generally are happy to share the knowledge that they have and welcome questions as part of the journey. Imagine the joy they get in seeing someone not skip some steps, but propel themselves forward. And a lot of it's just confidence, giving you the confidence to say, hey, you're exactly where you need to be. You're taking the steps that I took. Keep going, because it's worth it. Keep going. Not saying you'll end up here, but you'll end up where you're supposed to be, but just keep going. Because the danger is, if you're in that position and you don't ask the question, you're going to get it from a source that actually isn't, that is their version of the truth. We talk about that for agreement. So people only speak their version of the truth. Imagine if you've got the world authority or the person you admire most, an expert in their field. You have the opportunity to ask them a question and you don't, but you get it secondhand from someone else and it's different. So your perception, your view of the answer and moving forward, your interaction within that space is way different. When the guru would have been like, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. So always ask questions. Continue to ask questions. Always be inquisitive by nature. It's not remove that fear and that anxiety around appearing stupid, because once you know the answer, bank it, rather than just second guessing yourself and not knowing the answer. And there's more anxiety in not knowing than there is in asking the question and finding out.
Bro, we talked about it. I don't know if this is this whole Goggins thing, and I don't know if we've mentioned this, but I talked about it with someone the other day. And it's the way I used to run the online programs. It's that whole Roger that mentality. Remember, if someone's giving you information, or they're giving you a lecture, or there's a directive or an objective, ask questions until you are 100% clear about what it is they're actually asking you, or what you need to do, or what, again, things I never used to do growing up, to the point where you can say, Roger that, which in my world means consider it done. I know 100%, nothing is unsure. I'm ready to rumble. And if you can't say Roger that, then don't, and just ask more questions. I'm sorry, can you clarify that a bit more for me? Or what did you want me to do? Or, oh God, I'm not sure. And both parties, if you can hear Roger that, or you can say Roger that with conviction, mate, game on. You know what to do. I'm going to go and crush this shit, so that's a powerful little mental mindset. That's a David Goggins, mate.
Well, the situation they're in military, it's life or death. It's a life or death. You have to understand what the fuck you're doing and what your mates are doing, or else you're going to end up standing in the middle of a field by yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were here.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. What? Just say let, bro. Roger that. If you don't know, everybody, me. I'm not saying we're not in life or death situations, but it's still critical, right? It's still critical that you understand. You don't have to bullshit. You don't have to bullshit it. If you don't know the answer, fuck, that's cool. No one should shoot you down, and if they do, they're a dick. But they probably don't know the answer either. They're like, and you say, okay, so what's the answer? What is the answer? And they're like,
Yeah. Hey, mate, make no assumptions, Make no assumptions. We can just make sure, don't assume you know what's happening and what's going on, or that other, if you don't know.
Exactly. If you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. But if you don't know, ask someone that does know, not someone that thinks they know. And if you're still not sure, it's research. What have we got? The technology. I think we've been down this road before. Medical advice, don't get it off Google, because you'll just you might go to bed and never get up. Don't ask Dr. Google. But all other stuff, and remember the source of truth. Like if you're looking at Facebook as your life guide, then bro, we've got some issues.
Exactly.
Proper, the internet is filled with propaganda, and that is it too. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast recently. It was about Florida. It was the guy that directed Cocaine Cowboys. really interesting chat about American society, and these chats go left and right and zig and zag, but it ended up about Russian propaganda, how they were actually had a team of people that were producing memes to undermine to undermine the authority in America, to undermine the government.
The power of memes.
The presidency.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. Just the concepts and the theories, and again, that's just it, right? But it's interesting to listen about the antagonists and the conspiracy theorists, and and obviously one of the conspiracy theorists around COVID and vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers is blowing my fucking mind at the moment. To be honest, people, it's blowing my mind now. Why I'm, look, in most situations, I'm absolute 1000% pro-choice. You do you. But the amount of propaganda that comes out of anti-vaxxers is just astonishing, where they go and how hard they go. I think people that are getting vaxxed are like, okay, that's fine. If that's your choice, then you have to live with it. There may be restrictions moving forward, whether it's travel or concerts, all of those types of things. If you do you, okay? But when it comes down to protecting your children, when it comes down to protecting our way of life, when it comes down to protecting generations, when it comes down to protecting businesses, then seriously, make a decision, make a positive decision that impacts everybody in a positive way. And if your decision is not to do that, then cool, keep it to yourself. You do you. But trying to poison, trying to go on this propaganda train where what I see is a lot of stuff coming out of websites and information about this and that, with the anti-vaxxers are all about, you're all going to die. This is what's happening. You don't do this. And generally vaxxers like, bro, we're just going to get vaxxed. We're happy with it. We want our lifestyle back. I want my kids to be safe. I want society to get back to normal. Or we want this COVID to go away. It won't. So we just have to learn to live with it. Part of it is vaccination. So
it's a funny, because it's all that whole Facebook thing. Again, it's sort of just platforms to yell out your opinion, where people mostly say, they'll give their opinion, but then they'll say, stop shoving your opinion down my throat while I'm going to give you my opinion. It's the whole platform, and that's Facebook again. It's that whole it's a fucking funny. It's a funny place to get into.
You're not going to win. You just agree to disagree, right? If that is your belief, then fine. Okay. Don't try and push other people into your train of thought, because I'm certainly not going to. I have my beliefs. We have our family beliefs. My objectives are to protect my family, my way of life, to continue doing the things we do, to live in this wonderful country, to love thy neighbor, to treat everybody with respect and be kind. So if you decide that getting vaccinated in some way is and I mean, look at the riots in Australia. And all of the stuff that's happening, I'm like, fuck, this is blowing my mind. I can't. But fuck, bro, you do you. And the chips will fall where they may, but as long as it's not at the compromise of an unnecessary impact on people's lives, in terms of people are dying overseas. Let's get real. People are dying daily overseas from COVID. Half the globe is now vaccinated. Half the globe is now vaccinated. Oh, fuck. I mean, I could talk for hours on this, but again, you do you. Anti-vaxxers, if that's your thing, cool. Just
it shouldn't matter anyway, because if you're vaccinated, you're protected. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. But it's the I think it's the thing is being made to feel as though, like, fuck, there was a great post about, mate, you don't know what's in Panadol, but you take it for your headaches. You don't know what's in the majority. Have you ever eaten a food and really have you picked up a Big Mac and read the label on the Big Mac, but you're stove into a Big Mac? Do you know the preservatives and the additives in those? But yet you'll stove into one of those.
Mate.
You know, and the benefit too now obviously I'm vaxxed is I don't need a cell phone. Justin can contact me through my chip that's inserted. I can scan in and out of stores. Okay. I can pick up some channels of Sky, which is kind of weird. So I get Sky Sport if I just point northwest. So it's actually a real positive.
There you go. Benefits, mate. Benefits outweigh
awkward conversations.
I'll tell you what's cool, mate. I'll tell you what. When you're talking about conspiracy theories and things before, the new one I heard, the one that I thought was super interesting about the internet, was that the next big thing will be a COVID-like virus that will infect the internet, and they will shut it all down and have to polish it and clean it all up and release and open it again without all the basically another form, I don't know what they're going to do, but that was the next thing. Yeah.
Is it like, the Y2K? Y2K. Do you remember? Fuck, I don't know. Do you remember waiting for that? Like New Year's.
I talked about it with someone the other day.
Boom with the club, and then go 5, 4. It was like, 3,
shit! Hold up.
2. Hang on. 1. Happy New Year! Boom, 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 boom. Okay, we're good. Let's go.
Mate, and people made money off that by preparing for Y2K. Remember, like all these different systems and platforms set up. So funny.
Wow. But what a crazy. Who would have thought we'd be in this position, you know, globally, and all of the restrictions and walking around in a mask as a you know, fuck. It's just bizarre. Walking around daily with masks on, inside businesses, you know, we're lucky enough, blessed enough in Wellington and same with you in Christchurch at the moment to be able to go to gyms, and there's distancing rules and obviously applying cleanliness, but it just takes one person and then boom, you're fucked. So there's cases now, and again, it's propaganda both ways, right? Where people and known anti-vaxxers and advocates for anti-vax have died of COVID. But it doesn't matter, mate. People are dying everywhere. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are, doesn't matter what your religion, doesn't matter what your skin color is, doesn't matter what your age is. People are dying, and if there's anything that we can do to halt it or make this life a little easier, and you know, so there's less suffering in the world, we should do it regardless. With anything, you know, we should do it. If we have the ability to stop suffering in the world, we should do it. Pete, do you realize if the government hadn't locked us down, how quick did it get from 1 person to 1,000? How quick? It was like that, right? As soon as it got in the houses, pop, 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 pop. You imagine, mate, we would have been in a world of hurt. Look at our friends and far now in Australia, world of hurt, lockdown after lockdown. New South Wales, world of hurt. Started with 1 person and then bang, boom. So just be sensible and be kind. And whether you're a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer, just respect people's opinions, just to do their own shit, but don't go hard. If you're an anti-vaxxer, cool, just you do you. I'm not saying sit down and shut the fuck up, but just sit down and shut the fuck up and just you do you. You do. If you don't want it, don't take it. Vaxxers, if you want it, go get it. Otherwise, let's just try and move. It's going to get to a stage where it's going to be, would it be mandatory? Wow. Could the government do that? I mean, I don't even know whether Cody's vaccinated, but here we are, face to face.
Mate, it's funny because if you look, Israel is the highest vaccinated country on the planet with the highest rates of COVID on the planet. So it won't stop. It won't. No. So that's the reason. That's the problem, is that we have to come up with a better strategy than lockdowns, because obviously, COVID vaccines mean people think they're invincible, which they're actually not. No. You still catch it, you still spread it, you can still die from it, you can still be sick from it.
Correct.
so it's even, so what it means is that once you have it, yeah, you can't really, the world's still not normal. It doesn't mean you can run around and do whatever you want, because that's the whole, if you look at the modeling from other areas. So it's quite an interesting predicament the governments are in, because locking down every 5 minutes won't help. It will help.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, test more. And the funny thing is, it's like, don't go outside, don't go mix up with people, but we need you all testing, because if our numbers are higher in testing, then we can, mate, it's a very strange time.
Like I say, it's a head fuck. I mean, you couldn't have written this shit in a story, right? As there's probably someone's going to go, no, in 1986, this movie, watch this. It's
Black Mirror,
it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. But yeah, I mean, what we're not saying is it's not going to say you are bulletproof moving forward, but it's going to improve your chances of fighting the virus should you get it. The more we get through and things are going to open up, the likelihood of getting it, it's going to increase. People are going to have to travel. We're going to get things from overseas. People are going to have to come in. There's a massive labor shortage. There's going to have to be
crazy.
Priorities in terms of people traveling will have to get vaccinated. You'll need a stamp or a passport to be able to travel. Now, if you are not vaccinated and you want to travel, then bros and sisters, that's on you. It's going to differ from country to country. Yeah, but don't put that pressure or on anybody else. That sits firmly on your shoulders, your decision. And also think of your kids. Think of your children, not only for them getting infected potentially, but what if you got it and passed away? Are you in a position, maybe just might be a time to sort out your insurance policies, all of those types of things that we don't like to think about. Everybody should do it anyway. My mother-in-law is a doomsday planner. She has everything worked out to the 10th degree. She has drawers, folders, amazing, so that, if push comes to shove, mate, 100% we would rather have her around, her love and support. Even though she is batshit crazy and annoying at times, she's an amazing, incredible, strong woman, and I love her to bits. I'd far rather have her, but if push comes to shove, she knows that this will be in this drawer, and she keeps telling us, and that's yours, and that's yours, and this is this, and I've had chat about this, and this is written on this, and there's a piece of paper on the back of this door, and I'm like, fuck, okay. And I'm thinking about
napkin somewhere.
Who are we insured with? What's
oh mate, yeah, I actually did it when I came back to New Zealand too. I went into that era. I was like, I've got to sort some shit out. Because we just never, overseas for so many years, just never did.
Yeah.
And then when my father passed away, like nothing was done. There was no insurances or anything taken care of, right? So you sort of, if something happens, then everyone's on their own, mate. It's like, good luck. Here's $50 out of the bank account. Go forth and prosper. So I took care of all that pretty quickly, and it was it's, I suppose it's quite comforting knowing that there's things there, there's things in place for if something does happen.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard to go to worst case scenario. We don't like to think about it, but there's a lot of stuff that's inevitable, and that's part of the journey. Is, you can look at the amount of suffering that our parents put themselves through so that we may not suffer, and then we find our own level of suffering, or put ourselves through our own level of suffering so that our generations to follow will not suffer. It's just this endless cycle. So, it's all about mahi. We're working towards obviously a better life for us, and my main aim has always been to provide a home, a safe haven for my family, and to look after them as best I can, and obviously provide for them. But I had no expectations from my parents to say, okay, when you pass away, just make sure that I get X amount. That wasn't it. The journey for me was saying, you have given me the tools and expertise to be able to live my life. And as I said, my mum still cares for me, right? She's like, are you? I'm like, Mum, I'm great. I'm really, really good. Thank you so much. We are good. We're in a good spot. But you can't get there without the love and the care. And I acknowledge that too. Having a strong role model as a mother that was responsible for looking after me shitty little grotty teenager going through all sorts of stuff. Eventually I got it, and to be able to repay the favor and go out, take her out for coffees and share her journey moving forward has been super cool. But again, with COVID around, I'm just hyper aware that at the ripe old age of 85, I mean, even I'm at risk, mate. You're not quite there yet. You're not in that age bracket.
Hey, mate, the most
way before you.
Hey, who knows, mate?
Yeah.
So, it's fun, yeah. You're right.
But fuck, what are you going to do? We just have to find a way to work together, regardless of your beliefs, to make it work for everybody. It's difficult. Life repeats itself, where wars and conflict is based on religion and disagreements. And if we can just sit down and chat, and it's not necessarily agreeing to disagree, but there has to be some sort of middle ground. And if people are going to complain about their rights, we've really got to focus on what's best for the entire population. And that's it. What's best for everybody, what's best for everybody. Florida was a great example. Listening to Joe's podcast, because we can go back to it. COVID's the number one cop killer in Florida. Number one cop killer in Florida and the United States. Actually, there's a cop a day dying in Florida getting COVID-19, and it just doesn't make sense to me. These are people that have dedicated their lives in the service of others, trying to help people. There's conflict around, people saying you're taking my rights and you shouldn't be able to tell me what to do. But there are guys that are protecting the way of life, and they are dying. They're putting their lives on the line, literally, to protect and serve. And that to me is it just doesn't make sense. It's so sad. And these are healthy people, generally healthy people. You look at, but it's affecting people with pre-existing conditions. Fuck, mate, 90% of the population in the globe, pre-existing conditions. We are not healthy. Americans will admit they are not healthy. They are not healthy. Look at rates of obesity globally. We are not healthy as a race, and maybe we need to focus more on that. Ways that we can become healthy. That's part of my mission. That's part of your mission in terms of the fitness industry, providing opportunity and equipment for people to be able to move and to exercise and become fitter. Accessibility is a big thing for me, is to coach, lead, and inspire others moving forward, for generations to coach, lead, and inspire others. That's my mission, to help. And we all need to do our part. Be kind. Be kind. Be kind to yourself. I talk about it as one of my biggest things. It was if my record was stuck on one thing, it's just be kind to yourself. Be kind to the ones that are closest around you, and be kind to everybody else. And a lot of that comes down to respect as well. Just respect. We're all trying to live. We're all dealing with this current climate the best that we can. There are opportunities created and others that have dried up, but let's just be sensible. There's no need for violence. There's no need for conflict. Like I say, if you want to do if you're not into it, then just sit down, hitch off, find a room together, find an island, go do that shit. But when it's
be kind, bro.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm just.
You know what I mean. It's just there's no need. There's no need for the conflict and risking the lives of others. Just think about peeps out there. Think about what we are doing. We're all struggling in different degrees. Support each other on this journey. Life is more challenging. This is our world war. Look at what generations before us have had to put up with. A ton more than this. Epidemics, yes. Wars, yes. Bombings, yes, that have leveled cities, that have killed millions. Yes, this may be as close as we get here to something of that degree. Hopefully there's nothing else that follows this, but we need to deal with it. We need to work together. And that's the only way to resolve this internal conflict and to move forward into this beautiful thing we call life.
All right, team. Thanks for tuning in to episode number 30. No, I'm out of here. I'm exhausted now, bro. Time for lunch.
Wow. Yeah, look, I haven't eaten, mate. I've been on the go. Got up early, multitasking too, trying to do two things at once, which worked. Obviously, our commitment, 10 o'clock podcast, boomfa. Going to drop it daily as well, just about on the things of multitasking. Yeah, but again, conversations go where they go.
Hell yeah.
You've got the right to speak up, but again, be kind. Big picture, we're all trying to do the same thing, working together. Love one another. Be kind. Episode number 30, D.M.C Podcast. What? We out.
Peace. We out.
Peace.